All right, so let's dive right into this Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation, specifically their wide receiver situation, and a potential curveball coming up in the 2025 NFL Draft. It's talking about Chris Godwin's future. It's kind of uncertain, and CBS Sports' latest mock draft has the Bucs taking Ohio State's Emeka Egbuka, 19th overall.
Yeah, that's a fascinating scenario. Godwin was having just a monster year before that ankle injury against the Ravens, really showcasing his ability, I think, to dominate both in the slot and on the outside. But, his free agency throws kind of a wrench into the Bucs' plans, especially with their offensive performance showing some inconsistencies in 2024.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack there. Even if Godwin re-signs, the Bucs might be looking to add more firepower to that receiving core. So let's talk about Emeka Egbuka. CBS Sports analyst Chris describes him as sizable and speedy, which sounds a lot like a certain Chris Godwin, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the parallels are definitely interesting. Egbuka is a seasoned receiver, 4 years at Ohio State under his belt, so he could theoretically step right in as a direct replacement if Godwin departs. But even if Godwin stays, imagine the possibilities. With those two alongside Mike Evans, that's a defense's worst nightmare.
Talk about an embarrassment of riches. But let's dig a little deeper into Egbuka's game. What specifically makes him such a tantalizing prospect for the Bucs?
Well, one thing that jumps out from his college tape is his ability to win those contested catches. Much like Godwin, those crucial third down grabs. To keep drives alive, I could see Egbuka making those plays in the NFL. Plus, he's got the speed to stretch the field vertically, which would add another dimension to Tampa Bay's offense.
Okay, and how might Liam Cohen's offensive system factor into all this? I mean, we saw how well Godwin thrived under Cohen's play calling last year. Could Cohen's, potential departure influence Godwin's decision at all? And would Egbuka fit as seamlessly into the system?
Well, those are the million-dollar questions. Cohen's system seems to emphasize Godwin's versatility, using him all over the field to create mismatches. I think Egbuka, with his size and route running ability, could potentially thrive in a similar role.
It's almost like we're looking at two potential timelines here. One, Godwin stays, and the Bucs draft Egbuka to form a potentially unstoppable trio, or Godwin walks, and Egbuka steps in as the heir apparent. Either way, Jason Licht, the Bucs GM, seems to be in a win-win situation.
Yeah, it's a testament to Licht's proactive approach to roster building. He's not just reacting to needs, he's anticipating them and planning for the future. The Bucs have a window of contention right now, but they're also making moves to stay competitive down the road.
Absolutely. And don't forget, folks, this is just one scenario in a sea of possibilities. Free agency is always a wild card, and there are plenty of other talented receivers in this draft class. But this mock draft scenario gives us a fascinating glimpse into the Bucs' potential strategy. So let's say for a moment that Godwin does walk in free agency. How would drafting Egbuka change the dynamics of their offense? Would they need to adjust their play calling to accommodate his specific strengths?
Well, that's an insightful question. While Egbuka has some similarities to Godwin, he also brings his own unique skill set to the table. I think he's a bit more of a physical receiver, using his size and strength to box out defenders and win those 50-50 balls.
We might see the Bucs incorporating more jump ball situations, especially in the red zone, if Egbuka is the guy.
Precisely. Think back to Mike Evans's early years in Tampa Bay. He was a dominant force in those contested catch situations. And I think Egbuka has that same potential. It could create a really fascinating dynamic with Evans and Egbuka both vying for those high point throws.
Yeah, it would certainly make things interesting for opposing defenses. I mean, do you double team Evans, leaving Egbuka one-on-one, or do you try to bracket both of them, opening up space for other receivers?
It's a pick your poison scenario for defenses. And that's exactly what you want as an offensive coordinator. Having that kind of size and physicality at receiver can really dictate coverages and open up opportunities for the entire offense.
And let's not forget about the impact this could have on the Bucs' running game. I mean, if defenses are so focused on those big receivers on the outside, it opens up lanes for the running backs.
Absolutely. Defenses would be forced to play more honestly, which could lead to more effective play action passes as well. Suddenly the Bucs offense becomes much more multidimensional, with a potent ground attack complementing their aerial assault.
So it's not just about replacing Godwin's production, it's about potentially transforming the entire offensive identity of the team. Egbuka's skill set, if utilized correctly, could create a ripple effect that elevates everyone around him.
Exactly. And that's what makes this draft scenario so intriguing. It's not just about filling a need at wide receiver. It's about adding a piece that could potentially unlock a whole new level of offensive potential for the Bucs.
Now, I know we're deep into hypothetical territory here, but let's say for a moment that Godwin does resign and the Bucs draft Egbuka. How do you see those three receivers coexisting in the same offense? Would there be enough targets to go around?
It's a great question, and one that would certainly create a fascinating dynamic. You'd have three receivers, each with a distinct skill set, all vying for touches.
It would certainly test Liam Cohen's creativity as a play caller. How do you keep all three of those guys happy and productive?
It's a challenge, but a welcome one. I think the key would be to create a system that maximizes each player's strengths without forcing them into roles that don't suit their skill sets.
Right, you wouldn't want to pigeonhole Egbuka as a slot receiver.
Yeah.
Just because Godwin already occupies that space. You'd want to find ways to move him around, utilize his size on the outside, create mismatches against smaller defenders.
Precisely. And that's where Cohen's ability to scheme open receivers becomes so crucial. He's shown a knack for designing plays that get his best players in space. And with a trio like Evans, Godwin, and Egbuka, the possibilities are endless.
We're talking about a potential offensive juggernaut here. Imagine the pre-snap motion, the play-action passes, the sheer variety of formations they could utilize. With those three weapons at their disposal,
it would be a nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators. Trying to match up against that kind of firepower week in and week out, that's a recipe for sleepless nights. But this whole discussion raises another intriguing question. How would the presence of those three-star receivers affect the development of Kyle Trask? He's been patiently waiting in the wings, and this could be his chance to finally take the reins of the offense.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. We've been so focused on the receiver situation that we haven't even considered the quarterback dynamic. Trask has shown flashes of potential, but he's also struggled with consistency. Would having such a talented supporting cast help him take that next step? Or would the pressure of living up to those expectations be too much to handle?
That's the great unknown. We've seen quarterbacks thrive in situations where they have a wealth of talent around them, but we've also seen quarterbacks crumble under the weight of those expectations.
It's a high-stakes gamble, and one that the Bucs will have to weigh carefully as they navigate this offseason. But regardless of how it all shakes out, one thing's for sure: the future of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is incredibly bright.
I couldn't agree more. This team is poised for continued success, and the next few months would be crucial in determining just how high their ceiling is.
So it sounds like the Bucs are in a really good spot to, make some serious noise in the NFC, no matter what happens with Godwin. But let's shift gears for a moment and look at the bigger picture. We've seen this trend across the league, where teams are loading up on offensive weapons. Is this the new formula for success in the NFL?
It's definitely a trend worth noting. The game has evolved, and offenses are becoming more sophisticated and explosive than ever before. To compete in today's NFL, you need playmakers who can create those game-changing moments.
And it's not just about having one or two star players anymore. We're seeing teams build entire offensive units that are capable of putting up points in a hurry.
Exactly. It's about creating a system where multiple players can thrive, and that puts immense pressure on opposing defenses. Look at teams like the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. They've built offensive juggernauts that are capable of scoring from anywhere on the field.
So it's not just about having a great quarterback anymore. It's about surrounding that quarterback with an arsenal of weapons.
That's right. The quarterback is still the most important piece of the puzzle, but he needs the supporting cast to maximize his potential. The Buccers seem to understand this philosophy, and they're building their roster accordingly.
And it's not just about the passing game either. We've seen how a strong running game can complement a high-powered passing attack, creating a truly balanced and dangerous offense.
Absolutely. Look at the San Francisco 49ers. They've been a perennial contender thanks to their commitment to both the run and the pass. It's about creating a system where the two elements work in harmony, keeping defenses off balance and guessing.
So if you're an NFL team looking to build a championship contender, it seems like the blueprint is pretty clear. Invest in offensive talent, create a system that maximizes their abilities, and find the right balance between the run and the pass.
It's a formula that has proven to be successful in recent years, and it's one that the Bucs are clearly following.
Well, there you have it, folks. We'll look into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' potential offseason plans and the evolving landscape of NFL offenses. We've covered a lot of ground today, from Chris Godwin's uncertain future to Emeka Egbuka's tantalizing potential and the broader trends shaping the league.
We've explored the possibilities, analyzed the scenarios, and hopefully provided some insightful perspectives on what promises to be a captivating offseason in Tampa Bay.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the conversation. Free agency and the draft are still months away, and there are sure to be plenty of surprises along the way. But one thing's for certain, the Buccaneers are a team on the rise, and they're poised to make a serious run at a Super Bowl title in the years to come.
And as always, we encourage you to continue the conversation in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts on the Buccaneers' potential moves, their offensive strategy, and the future of the NFL.
And before we sign off, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth analysis of all things NFL. We'll see you next time.